Hi everyone, I am Chloe Hartung, and this is my online introduction for ACTE 699. So, a little bit about myself. I am currently teaching at Penn Manor High School, and my classes I teach are Earth and Space Science. I have both career level students and honor students. Some hobbies that I have, I like to cook. You can see a dish I made down there. I also really like hiking and traveling. This is a picture of me right here with my siblings, my parents, and our significant others. And that's all of us hiking in Maine. Wasn't this past summer, 2 summers ago. Picture me and my friends. We went on a trip to Annapolis this past summer. And this down here is a picture of Wallops Island in Virginia. I got to go to NASA there. I got to see the Antares rocket launch bay area. Another thing about me is I was recently accepted to the Lancaster County STEM Coalition's STEM Leadership Academy. So throughout this semester, I'm going to actually be completing an action research project for them as well. So I'm really hoping that I can integrate the research that I complete in this class and the research that I'm completing there as well, so I can take it back to the county and share it with some of the other districts to help improve our schools in the county. So the stage of action research that I think is going to be the most difficult is probably developing an action plan. I think this is going to be more difficult than the rest of them because often when we're doing action research, it's really just research that we can do with our own students and it's limited to our own classroom. So when we're collecting this data and analyzing it and coming to a conclusion, it's often the results of that are often just limited to what we can do in our own classroom. It can be challenging to impact change at a department level or even a class subject level. Also, if it were to the extent that I would need to alter my curriculum in some way, I would be required to go through my school board to do that, which is also difficult. And getting others on board with my own research is also something that I think is difficult to do. So some obstacles that I foresee with making action research a part of my daily practices. First of all, I think that the point that they were trying to make was pretty clear, that a lot of action research integrates a lot of common practices that are things that we do daily in our classrooms. Every day, my students get objectives. There are formative assessments that we do throughout the block. There's small questions that I ask them. If we do a Nearpod, I'm asking them questions throughout the lesson. There's exit tickets. I ask them analysis questions at the end of a lab activity. Informal research is happening daily in our classrooms. But some obstacles with formal action research is that it can be time consuming because we have to consider data analysis as more than just the results of grades. So have to take into consideration taking that data and figuring out a way to communicate it to others. So if that means putting it in data tables that aren't just our grading system like PowerSchool or Sapphire, or graphing that data, putting it into terms that make enough sense for the other people in our department to understand and for them to get a good idea of what you have accomplished throughout your action research and convincing them that what you've discovered is relevant to their own classrooms and how they can integrate it in their own classrooms. I think those are some major obstacles that teachers often experience when they're completing action research. So from our stories from the field, the story that resonated with me a little more was from Rebecca Wisniewski, and that's for a few reasons. First, she did talk about how she enjoys research. She likes trying new things. I also enjoy trying new things in my classroom and trying different activities with my students, seeing what works for them and what doesn't. I also used to teach in a Title I school that had a very high poverty level, and we had many bilingual students in that. And I also really liked that she talked about how at the end of her research project, she conducted student interviews and asked students how they thought they did and if they liked the new tasks and activities that she was doing with them. I think that often when we do action research, we only consider the data or we consider what works best for us, and we often don't think about how our students really feel about like what their opinion is rather than just like what their grade was. Some concerns I have for conducting action research are I want to make sure that I research something that is helpful to my classroom. Since I'm working with the STEM Coalition on an action research project, I'd really like to present something to them that is definitely relevant to my own classroom. And since it's being presented throughout the county, perhaps something that other districts in other areas throughout the county could also perhaps implement or at least consider when they're creating new policies or processes in their own districts. Rebecca also talked about how she was really frustrated with her progress and results. And that kind of goes along with my last concern, which is developing a appropriate timetable. I think that if I were going along with my research and my data wasn't making sense or it wasn't the outcome that I expected as a science teacher, when I'm receiving results that I'm not expecting, my instinct is to start from scratch and do something else and start from the beginning, come up with a new process and try to fix it so that I get the results that I want or, positive results in some way. And that also goes hand in hand with developing a timetable for me because I don't want to have to start completely over or work through something and analyze results that don't make sense. And it's a little hypocritical for me, and I understand that because I'm always talking to my students about how it's all about the process. It's not about the product. It's about understanding how to do this research, why this research is beneficial, and how conducting this type of research is helpful to our students and benefits our classroom in a plethora of ways. So those are some of my concerns. I feel like they'll be addressed throughout, and I'm really looking forward to completing some action research for the first time.